did you guys make a list? Because we're going to talk about the Game Awards, obviously, in the episode. Did you guys make a list at all of stuff you were interested in from the Game Awards?
Like a mental list, kind of, yeah.
I did not sit down and make a list, but I will at some point.
Okay, so I was hoping we could share the list, but I'll mention I have like 4 or 5 in here, so I'll mention these games, and I don't know, we can like quickly chat about them, I guess. What did you guys think of Dune Awakening?
That was like the one trailer I wasn't paying attention to.
Damn! What? Damn!
Hello! Welcome to Dale and Patch Podcast, episode 417, Game Awards Bonanza.
That's what they called it.
How do you guys feel about things being called the Game Awards? Or the Beatles?
You mean like saying that they're the official one?
No. So if their title is the Game Awards, wouldn't you have to refer to them as the Game Awards?
No, I think that's what they're trying to get out of. Because you're usually referring to it as the Game Awards, so they're kind of like taking over. I always figured that they're always taking over that the is how I always looked at it.
Let's say we were writing up some legal documents. How would you have to refer to them as? None of us are lawyers, obviously.
I think if it starts with the, like inclusively in the title, then you just skip the that you would otherwise put.
I don't know about that.
And it's also just a proper name, right? Like I don't call you the Ryan, and you wouldn't call the company the Facebook, unless you're a boomer. They say, "Oh, you on that? Are you on the Facebook?" But
I call it the TikTok.
Yeah, on the TikTok, right? That's like the stereotypical old person thing to do is when it doesn't have a the, put a the in front of it.
I've heard TikTok being referred to as Tickety Bop, which doesn't help our the.
Literally never heard that.
It doesn't help our the conversation. I just thought it was funny.
Here's another problem I have. Iron Man 3. There's a bunch of Iron Man suits flying around. So people would say, "Oh, look at all those Iron Men." It's like, no, Iron Man is his title. Those are a bunch of Iron Mans.
Iron Mans, yeah.
Yeah.
Or that's an Iron Man, but the actual guy flying around is the Iron Man.
Now we got
the suit is just an Iron Man. You know?
But a bunch of Iron Man suits, I guess you'd have to say.
The thing is that if you're writing in an English class, you're correct. But when in layman speech, you're just trying to get a point across.
Yes, I know.
So if you're like, there goes all the Iron Men, and people know what that is, it's totally cool.
But anyway, I got Tim Spence with us here.
Yes, sir.
Matt Lawrence.
What's up?
And we're going to give you all our thoughts about the announcements, and we'll go over the winners really quick here.
Every single thought.
So let's start with the winners then. I guess we'll just start with Game of the Year, right? I'll just kick this off.
Kick it off with the pinnacle of the whole show.
Yeah, we'll do it the reverse, you know?
Start off with the most exciting stuff and end with the least exciting.
That's right.
Damn right.
All right. Game of the Year, Elden Ring, which I predicted pretty much since even before I played Elden Ring, it was just simply the press's reaction to it that was like, oh my God, this is Game of the Year. You may know Jason Schreier from Bloomberg. He was talking about it when he was allowed to give his thoughts on Elden Ring, and he talked about having a conversation with a friend of his, saying, "Are we playing like the greatest game ever made?" And I was like, "Okay, well, there you go." Then you play it, and it was a pretty damn good game. And then I was like, "Okay, everyone's going nuts over it online," and I was like, "Okay, Game of the Year. No, it doesn't matter what God of War, how good it was going to be, it wouldn't be able to beat Elden Ring." But what are your thoughts on Elden Ring winning?
I think that, for me personally, it is my game of the year. I haven't played Ragnarok yet. I fully intend to, but I haven't played it. And I think that for me, I'm maybe a bit of a video game traditionalist in that something having a really good story, or rather I should say a game having a really good story, doesn't necessarily make it better, like a better game for me. than something that's just a good game, like that you actually play with and interact with. And that's not to say that the actual interactive part of God of War isn't really good, because the first game is definitely a really solid game, like gameplay wise. I'm sure Ragnarok is very fun to play as well. I don't necessarily say that like, oh, it had better music and a better story, therefore overall that makes it a better game. Like, I am concerned about the part where I play it and it's interactive and it's fun, and I highly doubt that I could get 400 hours of playtime out of Ragnarok, and I easily got that in Elden Ring.
Yeah,
so for me, Elden Ring was the better game of the year, even if game now is an all-encompassing term.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you make, actually, because I mean, oftentimes you'll hear people say like gameplay is the only thing that matters. Like, is it actually fun to play? The visuals don't matter. And I've always understood that point, but I've kind of taken issue with it because it's a visual medium. You know, we're not reading a book here. We're not doing something that doesn't require something to look nice. You know, your enjoyment. Sure, but the reason why I like seeing, you know, realistic looking games or, you know, visually stunning looking games is because it is a visual experience on top of gameplay, you know. So I think you need everything. It's a combination. That's why video games are kind of so unique in the entertainment space. They combine all sorts of different things, right?
Yeah, and that's why I say like my opinion might be not a modern take, right? Because other people would refer to more of the all-encompassing aspect of the genre, right? Say that a game is all of these things. And if it's not all of these things, then it's not game of the year. And like, that's fair. And I'm not saying that I'm right and that that's wrong. I think that they're both different takes. But I would just say that for me, if it's a fun game, then it's, you know, I get that much enjoyment out of it. And on top of that, just, it also happens to be visually appealing and it has good music and the story is good. Those are just cherries on top for me.
Right.
But that's not to say, obviously, that if it had bad graphics or bad music or a bad story, that might impact my enjoyment of the game, right? But so maybe it's a bit of an unfair thing to say that like, oh yeah, Elden Ring is good based on its gameplay alone, whereas, you know, maybe I would feel differently if
it's a good looking game.
The other factors weren't up to snuff. But that's the thing, right? I really enjoy the way that the game looks. All the music is so good. So there's a lot to be desired there. Or rather, I should say there's not a lot to be desired there. So
this is From Software's second win since the Game Awards started back in 2014.
Oh, yeah.
So they also won for Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.
How did I not know that Sekiro won Game of the Year? That would have been 2018 then, right? I think that game came out.
That was 2019.
2019. That's funny. Sekiro feels like it's so much older to me. But it was like 2014, I think. What's the name? Dark Souls. Oh my God. Sorry, I've been playing so much Death Stranding. I was like, it's not Death Souls. It's not Dark Stranding. It's not DS. What is it? Dark Souls 3, I think. It's 2014. Yeah, that's wild.
They were nominated for Dark Souls 2 in 2014.
Oh, wait. 2014 was Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
Bloodborne. What did Bloodborne lose to?
The Witcher 3.
Because, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm sure that there is a lot of angry people on the internet after that. Because while The Witcher 3 is really good, like, I see everybody every day talking about Bloodborne. I don't see that many people talking that. Well, I guess now you see people talking about Witcher 3 because it's topical again with the show and the update that's coming December 14th. But I don't know. I feel like Bloodborne has more staying power.
Man, the problem with video games is like there's a lot of good games and there has been a lot of good games for the last like 10 plus years, right? And so it's like every single one of these Game Awards years is like you're pitting amazing games against each other, and it's just it's almost sad when any of them wins, you know.
Yeah, well, you can't please. It's literally that thing. You can't please everybody, right? Yeah. Like, and that's not to say that if you know, God of War versus Elden Ring, that Elden Ring is necessarily the better game than Ragnarok, because again, it's all subjective. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
tons of people are going to go, that's bullshit. God of War should have won, blah, 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 all this and that. And like in your mind, yeah, sure, maybe it should have, but it's all just popularity contest anyway. So of course, like everyone's more popular is going to win the vote.
The trouble is they don't show how like the results, came to these decisions.
Yeah, they don't show any like metrics and like what they were graded on and stuff.
Yeah, it's just like they come down with these stone tablets on the stage and just say, "This is game of the year."
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's a good point.
How do you guys feel about these other games in the list? I don't know if you guys have even played any of these other ones. So Plague Tale Requiem, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yeah, Elden Ring is the only one I played.
And Matt, I don't think you've only played Elden Ring too, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I did have a comment on how they maybe come to these decisions. This is an estimate.
Well, we know how they do. I'm just saying we don't see a breakdown of the results.
Right, but what I mean is like I guess the metric that I think holds the most water from like looking at, let's say even last year, where the nominees were It Takes Two, Deathloop, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. Mm-hmm. It Takes Two won that game of the year. I would say it's almost the game that's most impactful in the industry at that time, because It Takes Two kind of was very viral in its presentation, and its E3 trailers were very like viral. And it's like, let's take a look at like Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart. It's really good, but it's just Ratchet and Clank again. But Elden Ring, who won out this year, God of War is great. And God of War and Elden Ring are the two titans that were like kind of the meme was that those are the only two that mattered. But it's like God of War is the second one. They didn't really push anything forward. Whereas Elden Ring, at least to me, kind of does push open world games further. It feels different to be in the Elden Ring open world. It doesn't feel very cumbersome. It doesn't feel like I'm running from activity to activity to activity, doing time trials or other stupid mini games. Mm-hmm. And then same with The Witcher 3, where The Witcher 3 kind of pushed almost like the narrative RPG forward a lot. Whereas Bloodborne, great game, but Bloodborne was just a different styled Dark Souls, if you think of it. And that's not to discount. I would disagree,
but I see what you mean.
But so it's like, what did Bloodborne do for the gaming industry at large? It's popular, but it's
I think Bloodborne suffered from it not being terribly big at launch. I think it grew over time. Because From Software games were pretty well under the radar, up until when Bloodborne kind of took off, and then Dark Souls 3 came out. And I remember Dark Souls 3 being particularly big.
That's a good question too, right? Is like, a question I guess you could ask is like, did the exclusivity hurt it? Because Dark Souls was really big, but Dark Souls was across a lot of stuff. Bloodborne's not even on PC.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so did that hurt it even?
Yeah. I guess the way that I look at it for this year is like, for my personal experience, like I only saw good things online about Elden Ring, whereas for every other game I saw complaints online. Even just using like Twitter as a metric, and Twitter is the place where everyone complains about everything. And the only complaint that I saw about Elden Ring, same with every other FromSoft game, is it's too hard. Why is it this hard? It needs difficulty settings. But that's a tale as old as time. So, that's I guess what I would say. I mean, because like with Horizon Forbidden West, people said it was too long. There was too much dialogue. Stray, there were people that were concerned about like not misrepresentation, but like
these cats are misrepresented.
Yeah, no, like the world is entirely based in like the like 50s-ish, like it was really a whole like social thing about how the cyberpunk genre is based on a kind of racist, anti-Japan, anti-advancement, like this fear that was like fear-mongered in the 50s of like, oh, we can't let Japan advance too fast because it's going to bring about the end of the world kind of thing. And so there was just general Twitter vitriol about.
I don't think gamers are thinking about that.
We need
when
to
playing
get mad at Stray for encouraging a post, dystopian cyberpunk world, and it's like, yeah, that's not what Stray is about. I mean, I guess it's like, ooh, but it's subtle, I don't know, but I saw that, and I saw,
oh my God.
Things about. I saw things about every game on complaints on Twitter for everything, but I never saw any. I don't want to say valid, because obviously if you don't agree with something, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not valid. But I didn't see any complaints really for Elden Ring that held a lot of water.
Yeah,
but again, like I said, that's my experience. It's anecdotal.
Well, let's move on to some other winners. Look, best game direction, Elden Ring. I'm not sure if those two awards always go hand in hand. I know in the Oscars experience, best director does not always win.
Best film,
best motion picture. Yeah. And that does make some people angry, because it's like, how do you have the best director but not they didn't produce the best movie? It's like, how's that work?
Because it's like the directing was really good, but the acting wasn't good. But it's like, if the acting had to have been good if the directing was good,
right?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a weird thing. I don't know.
Well, I was going to ask about that. Buff. Like, does that game direction? Are games that are sequels higher, like, on the percent chance to win because you have something to look at? Like, you can take a look at Bloodborne and the other Dark Souls and be like, oh, look, Elden Ring changed directions. I understand you could look at the market at large and be like, does this affect open world games? Which it does. But I'm just curious as to whether sequels in that would have a bit of an advantage there, because you can, like, God of War is a great example. If somebody just made the first God of War, or the first rebooted God of War, and that was the first God of War, then it's like, is that a new direction?
I don't think they mean direction, like taking the game in a new direction. I think they mean like as a concept, like conceptually, overall. I guess we'd have to look up the actual specific criteria of best direction.
The director handles like the themes and the feeling you get when watching it. They work with the actors to develop the characters. Yeah,
but I feel like
they direct the scenes.
Movie direction is different than game direction.
To a degree, yeah, for sure. There's differences, but they both operate in the same way as kind of guiding the ship where it eventually ends up. Everyone's adding their creative input, and it's up to the director to kind of point it in the right direction, right?
No pun intended.
So you could see something like Stray had a unique kind of style to it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I mean.
That could be traced to the director. And you could say, oh, that was the best director, right? But Elden Ring as a whole is a better game.
Mm-hmm.
So there's things like that.
I guess in that sense, like in terms of best game direction and how God of War was like a nominee for that, I would think that God of War would win over Elden Ring, just because I'm thinking about it from the perspective of like movies, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a very cinematic, it's a very narrative game that takes a very, for it to be pulled off really well, takes a very specific kind of direction and vision and that sort of thing. So
I agree. I actually said that before best game director got announced, is I thought God of War was going to win it and they were going to give Elden Ring Game of the Year. But then Elden Ring won best director.
Well, best director or best game direction?
Best game direction, yeah.
Because I have the official thing for the official, like, I'm on the GameAwards.com, and it says awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not necessarily the game's director specifically. It's like the actual product itself.
Yeah.
Who went up for that one?
I don't. Well, Elden Ring won. I think it was just the one guy did.
It was Reggie? It was the No, who like went up to accept the award?
It was the main guy that spoke, I believe. Yeah.
It was Miyazaki, so I think it usually is the director that goes up for that.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Yeah. Anyway, best narrative. God of War won that one. I think that one kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Best art direction. Now this one is very subjective, in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It does say technical achievement in artistic design and animation, but creative and/or technical achievement. But Elden Ring won that. I'd have to agree. Some of those vistas and cityscapes and landscapes you see in that game, amazing, just absolutely amazing.
I'm sure there are a lot of people that have recently played Ragnarok and thought that game was prettier, for sure.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I was pleasantly surprised that Elden Ring won, because I was afraid that because God of War is more fresh in people's minds, people would vote for God of War. But I still think, while not the most visually impressive game out there for sure, Elden Ring, that world on that scale, with some of those, like you said, those vistas, those areas, there were genuinely areas that I could not believe. I was like, there's no way that this isn't a FromSoft game. A lot of those areas are very impressive.
I haven't sat there in awe while playing God of War yet,
Yeah, there are definitely lots of areas in Elden Ring that I just sit and look at for sure.
There's some cool things and some pretty giant creatures and stuff in God of War. But Elden Ring kind of blew me away in terms of its location and setting. We'll just do a couple more here. Best score and music. God of War, Ragnarok 1, Bear McCreary. Man's name is Bear. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm. He was a very gracious recipient of that award.
And he had Animal from the Muppets helping give away that award.
His favorite drummer.
His favorite drummer, yeah. Everyone's favorite drummer. Let's see. Best performance, Christopher Judge.
Mm-hmm.
That one made sense. Made a lot of sense.
The legendary
longest speech.
Acceptance speech, yeah.
They should have started the music way sooner. I don't know if they had a time limit for the first person giving away an award.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was really funny that the music came in. I was like, oh God, they're literally trying to play him out right now.
And he kept talking.
And he kept speaking more loudly. Yeah. And then the music swelled when he kind of reached the pinnacle of his commentary about how we're all in this together, and everything, all human achievement is a collective effort, that kind of thing. And the music crescendos right at his point. And I was like, they're wanting to play him off, but this is working way too perfectly.
He tweeted that he didn't get to finish, and he was thanked his wife, I think, or something.
Yeah, he tweeted he didn't get to finish.
Yeah. He didn't say everything he wanted to say,
because he wasted his time saying a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, and not that I think he had a bad speech or anything, but he could have spoke a little more quickly.
I ate 3 pieces.
A lot of pauses and slow talking. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I'm glad he won, because it is an incredible performance. Poor Al Pacino sitting in the back, just waiting for this man to finish.
I was going to say, there were so many people in the chat that were like, Al Pacino wants to sit down, man.
One incredible thing that Christopher Judge said during that speech, though, was that when he heard Cory Barlog wasn't going to be the director on the next game, he was going to quit.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's a lot of. That's major props to Barlog, but that's such dedication. That's crazy.
Well, he was able to convince him that he had his faith in the new director, and look at. They won him another Game Award. So there you go. Any of those other ones you want to cover here? That's about all I was going to cover. I think those are the kind of the big ones.
Those are the ones that sort of everybody will.
I can go over the esports one. You want?
We could go over them quickly, just to mention them.
Here's a kind of fun one. Most anticipated game.
And yeah, that one was I think that was pretty stacked competition for that one. Mm-hmm. Obviously, with Tears of the Kingdom being in there, was obviously that was going to win.
Yeah.
But if Zelda wasn't upcoming, I think that would have been a hard judgment any other way. Because what were the other nominees for that one?
Final Fantasy XVI, Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil 4, and Starfield.
Yeah, and there was a lot of cheering for all of those.
It is hard to choose, and even with Hogwarts Legacy and kind of the controversy over J.K. Rowling there is still a lot of excitement for that game online.
It's still going to sell like gangbusters for sure because people just don't care, right? People don't care about social issues; they just want to play the game.
So yeah, this would definitely be a kind of a stacked category here. If we took out Legend of Zelda, and it's not my personal most anticipated, I think I would have to say, I don't know, Starfield, I guess.
Todd Howard what a confident vote. Yeah, Todd Howard's very happy with that. Starfield, I guess. I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, the trailer just didn't sell it very well.
For me, it's definitely Final Fantasy, and I find it crazy that if I could talk to my younger self, like my younger self would never say, "Oh yeah, like Final Fantasy over a Bethesda game." But if it was Elder Scrolls 6, if it was an Oblivion remake or something, no, like 1,000,000% it would be those. But because it's Starfield, and I'm not that intrigued by Starfield, I think that it looks kind of cool and looks like they're going to do some cool stuff with it. It's not really my cup of tea, and so my vote is for Final Fantasy.
All right, well, I'm going to say I'm going to say Starfield myself as well, because I am really interested in seeing a Bethesda game that A is not multiplayer, and B is in something new, in a new universe. It's not a Fallout game. It's not an Elder Scrolls game. So definitely Starfield for me.
All right. Well, I think that's all the categories we're going to go over. Overall, though, how'd you guys think the show went?
I quite liked it. I thought it was very entertaining, especially in terms of like awards shows. But I can't remember the last time that I sat and watched through the entirety of like E3 without, or rather, I should say, a day of E3 without getting bored. And I wasn't bored watching the game.
And awards. One of my criticisms, and I think a lot of people's criticisms that I see kind of get sent to Jeff Keighley, is that people obviously want the game announcements, right? That's why there's so many viewers. But I've always had an issue with calling it the Game Awards, and then I remember last year they barely gave out any on stage, and it felt very third. It felt very disrespectful to the. To the game developers and stuff. And I think this year, they nailed the balance between awards and announcements. It felt a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there weren't a lot of ads. There weren't a lot of ad breaks. There was a lot of focus on the actual, like I said, like having people up on stage to accept the awards.
Mm-hmm.
There were some things that they were kind of glossing through, obviously, like top content creator and like top mobile game and things like
that. Which I'm fine with. I just want them to actually do it on air. Whereas I think last year, some were just done off air or something, but I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I
agree.
Let's get into the
balance was good.
Let's get into the announcements then, since that's what people care about. Dead Cells Return to Castlevania. Adriano went nuts for this.
Oh, absolutely. Understandable.
Because he was saying it was like his two favorite kind of franchises coming together. As soon as I saw
Dead Cells, and I was like, oh, man.
And it was the first thing announced in the pre-show. And he was going nuts. And he was done. That was it.
It's like, I've peaked. This is the Game Awards for me. We're all good. See you next year, everybody.
Either of you played Dead Cells?
I haven't played it yet, no. I've had multiple friends tell me to play it. Yes. Yeah. I do really enjoy Castlevania. Even the old games. When I really first, because I was a much more of a retro gamer as a kid or as a teenager, and Castlevania is like among some of my favorite retro games for sure. But and the on top of all the other like Castlevania media, like the Netflix show and stuff was also really good. I've definitely been made a Castlevania fan.
What about you, Matt?
I've never really been too big on the side scrollers, so I've been out on that for a while, so I haven't played either, and I don't really plan on myself.
All right, what else we got here? Definitely some smaller games in the pre-show, but there were some interesting ones. Valiant Hearts Coming Home, which I guess is like a
It's a Netflix exclusive, right?
Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's going to be on the
show
Netflix
then?
store.
No, it's a Netflix game.
It's a game on the Netflix app, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. Coming to mobile via Netflix. So how does that work? Do you download it and then it authenticates through Netflix?
Probably. Or you download it through the Netflix app?
I'm not sure you need. Do you need the Netflix app? I think we've looked this up before, and I think I did a test, and I just can't remember.
Maybe you download the game and then log in with your Netflix account.
Huh. I'm surprised Apple's okay with that. Is it even on iOS? Maybe, I don't know.
I think it is in the actual store itself. Like if I go to the Play Store right now and look up, like they made a Stranger Things game. Let me look up Stranger Things. Stranger Things by Netflix. Yep, it's its own separate app. Stranger Things 1984 and Netflix Incorporated.
What else we got here? A new Among Us game.
A new game mode in Among Us.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure it's a hide and seek, right? I'm pretty sure it was a fan made game mode.
That they made official.
That they have now made an official.
So they're just hunting you now. It's not. You
well,
yeah, run away
one person is the killer monster or whatever, and they have a very limited cone of view, and it's hide and seek, right? You're seeking if you're the monster, and you're hiding and trying to stay away from them as much as possible when you're not the killer monster.
Yeah. This was a pleasant surprise. Hades 2.
Yes. Yeah, that's actually an insane announcement.
I never beat Hades 1, but I definitely had a lot of fun with it.
I got 85%-ish through the game and just stopped playing it. And I don't know why.
Yep.
So I really need to get back and properly finish playing it. And so that I'm ready for Hades 2, because it's a really, really good game. It's perfect on the Steam Deck too. I booted it up once on the Steam Deck, and I was like, "Oh, this is really good on this." And then again, I never played it again. So,
you can play it anywhere now.
Anywhere. Wait, isn't it on Switch?
I think it is. I think it might be on Switch.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Hades came for the Switch, but you can play it anywhere with a slightly larger screen than the Switch.
Hell yeah, better screen. It's OLED, right?
Well, the Switch has an OLED screen now too, but
if you buy the new fancy pants one.
Slightly larger OLED screen than the Switch. The matte anti-glare screen if you buy the really expensive one.
Ooh-wee.
And then play
how about Valve giving away
Vampire Survivors on it?
How about Valve giving away 170 Steam Decks?
When you think about how many people were watching, that's such a low percentage. That's so few pieces of hardware. But they were giving away the top tier version of it, the 512 gigabyte version. Wow. So that's pretty cool.
Jeff Keighley did joke during Christopher Judge's speech that he thinks he was trying to give away more Steam Decks.
Yeah, I saw that a bunch in the chat. So I assume somebody from backstage was probably watching the chat, and they were like, "Oh, here, come out on stage and say this, Jeff."
You don't think he thought about that himself?
I mean, he could have. It's an easy joke to make, but I'm just a joking.
Another surprise, Judas.
Yeah, from the creators of BioShock 2 and Infinite.
From Ken Levine, yeah. His new studio finally produced a game, I guess. It looked like BioShock, which I guess is a good thing.
It's funny because I'm playing through BioShock right now as well, and the character designs, I was like, these look very BioShock 2, these characters.
Even just the hand movements.
Facial animation, it's all very BioShock.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, how do you carry that over unless you took the animators with you? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's a very particular style.
Yeah. So it's pretty fun. So I'm pretty excited for that because I've always liked. The only BioShock game I've finished is Infinite.
You haven't finished the other two?
I've tried several times to play the first BioShock, and the first time I tried, it made me sick.
Oh,
it made you sick.
Yeah. What was I doing? I was playing some version on PS3, and the frame rate was just bothering me, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna freaking vomit." And then I've tried like twice to play it on PC. The first time I just gave up. And the second time I got to a part where I could not figure out what to do. And I think it was actually a glitch that a gate got closed on me and I wasn't able to find the thing I needed to find.
It's funny you say that because when I was playing through the first BioShock recently on stream, one of my friends came in and was saying like, oh, it's cool to see you're playing BioShock. Like I got to a point in this game where I just didn't know where to go. And so I gave up.
That might be where I was, yeah.
And so it's interesting that you say that because it's like the same kind of issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just wonder, like, at that point, I was like, oh man, am I going to reach a point where the game's going to start to be really like convoluted and confusing and then I'm going to get stuck too? And I feel like I know what the part was that he got stuck at.
Mm-hmm.
Because the game, while it does have like a quest log, it's not super clear.
Right.
And like, the objectives are it's definitely an old game, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a game from 2006 or whatever. And you can definitely feel that as you're like trying to play it.
I know this happened several times, but it was a part where there's like a Big Daddy kind of stalking around.
There are Big Daddies stalking around the entire game.
I know, but this was like a place where you kind of had to encounter
it. I
and,
see.
Yeah.
It's funny because I always thought the whole time that I had like ever seen anything for BioShock, I always thought that every time a Big Daddy saw you, it would always attack you. And it turns out that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
They don't aggro to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always like, oh shit, like every time I saw one and I was trying to like skulk around and like stay out of their way and stuff. And then there was just one time that I was distracted doing something else. And then I just heard like brrr behind me and I turned around and there's a Big Daddy just right behind me. And he was just walking all around. Like if they don't have a little sister with them, they don't care about you. Yeah. And so I was like, man, I've been hiding from these things for like 10 hours of gameplay and they don't even care about me. God. So that was a funny realization. And then they just tell you that straight up in BioShock 2. They're like, they see another Big Daddy. They don't care. They're like, oh, there's another Big Daddy.
How do you feel about Judas, Matt? Because have you played any BioShock?
I played Infinite. I did not complete it. And I played the first one and also did not complete it.
Okay.
But I played the first one because it came free, I think, with the disc of Infinite. So I think I might give this a go because it's a fresh start.
Yeah.
I don't really think I want to jump into another series that's a trilogy right now.
You got a big backlog too already.
I got a big backlog that I've been recently tracking and trying to get through. So this would be kind of a fresh start, and it's going to be a more modern game. And I think you texted me today, Ryan. You said it's next gen only. So maybe this is the game I've been waiting for. I want that PS4 or PS5 to like struggle. Like, come on, let's see what it can do.
I still think it's funny though that you want a next gen game, but you have a 1080p TV.
Oh yeah, I have a 1080p screen right now.
But you're not even really going to get like a lot of advantages. You want to push that PS5 just to put out a 1080p image.
Because the thing is like, I don't necessarily like graphics is one big thing, of course, but you can also have a lot that comes from power, like a really crowded environment, a really ridiculous view distance.
And the list goes on. Particle effects and stuff.
Exactly. And reflections, especially. That was the number one thing I noticed when you first boot up the PS5 is like boot up Watch Dogs Legion, it rains and you're like, holy fuck, like look at these reflections.
Bayonetta Origins, Sarita.
Now that's a theme change.
And the Lost
for the Bayonetta
Demon
series.
I actually enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah, I thought it looked cool. It's funny how like Bayonetta 3 literally just came out and they're already announcing a new Bayonetta game.
It is funny, yeah.
The title, the way they've done the title, Bayonetta Origins, and then beyond that, another subtitle saying Cereza and the whatever it's called, I can't remember.
And the Lost Demon.
The Lost Demon, thank you. Makes me think that they are planning a number of these Bayonetta Origins games.
Yeah, if it's good, I mean that'd be definitely a cool thing. I don't know
no
much
sense
about
in having
Bayonetta.
Two subtitles to your game.
Yeah,
unless you're planning on doing Bayonetta Origins this, Bayonetta Origins that.
I got the same impression from the The first thing that came to my mind at the time was Monster Hunter Stories, where it's kind of like that Pokemon Monster Hunters. I was like, oh, this is sort of like, it's obviously not Pokemon, but it's the spin-off version of Bayonetta.
Yeah, it's the story. It's the origin story, right? It's Bayonetta before she was Bayonetta or whatever. I've seen people calling it Baby Netta.
Baby Netta, yeah.
Baby Netta. Matt's favorite game, Destiny 2, Lightfall. He loved the way the new game looks.
What game is this?
Destiny 2.
The
Lightfall.
Next Destiny 2 expansion?
Oh. I don't care about that.
All right,
I have nothing against it. I just don't care about it.
Moving on. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. This was a bit bittersweet because Kevin Conroy is reprising his role, or has reprised his role, his final role, I guess. Unless there's something else coming out potentially, but he's going to play Batman one last time. I'm not really excited for this game. I'm only excited because it's Rocksteady. But everything I've seen so far has not really. Well, they haven't shown gameplay. First of all, it's been years and they haven't shown gameplay. But or did they? Am I wrong about that?
I honestly keep confusing this game with Gotham Knights, so I'm not 100% sure, but I would say this trailer made me excited for it, especially since I'm going to jump into Arkham Asylum soon, and I believe this is in the same universe, if I'm correct.
I think so.
Or maybe it's like a spin-off of that universe, but like maybe now I'll be like situated with that universe, so maybe there'll be some hints back to it, or however that's going to work.
Okay, there is a gameplay trailer. I remember this now. They did release a gameplay trailer. But it doesn't look as kind of unique as the Arkham games were. This looks more kind of your standard third-person action adventure, beat 'em up, shoot 'em up kind of game.
It's the logistics of having 4-player co-op, I would say, that gets in the way.
Yeah, it kind of makes it look more like a standard game. Whereas Arkham was really leaning heavily on their awesome combat system.
I don't know if it's just because I'm not like the biggest comic books fan, or if it's because that Suicide Squad movie just left a horrible taste in my mouth because it was really bad. But like, I have not quite, but almost nearly zero interest in any of the characters in that game. I don't care about any of the Suicide Squad at all as characters.
That is a bit of a problem, eh?
And I don't know if that would be the case anyway, because of just like me not caring about comic books that much, or if it's because of the movie and there's some association thing going on there, or what. But I don't know. I think it's really just one of those games. It's not for me, I don't think.
Again, it's Rockstar. That's just hold me to it. Or Rocksteady, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The only character I like is the shark, because I like Sylvester Stallone playing him in the movie, and
that was Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, Bird. Oh my God. Or whatever.
Party animals.
It's like Gang Beasts, but a little bit more polished, and you can just glass a fucking dude across the head with a bottle.
You can hit your butt as well.
Yep.
It looked pretty awesome.
Yeah, it does. It does look good.
Different skins and stuff too you can change.
Yeah, you can wear different outfits and stuff. It really does just remind me of Gang Beasts, and it's like, it's funny because I watch it and I'm like, this is just Gang Beasts. Like we already have this game, but Gang Beasts is definitely a lot more rough around the edges. This is way more polished for sure.
Is this by the same developer?
I actually don't know. That would make a lot of sense as to why they wouldn't necessarily really be supporting Gang Beasts as much anymore. If that was the case.
It's indie developer, I imagine, right?
I'll look this up. I'll look it up.
Developer of Party Animals is Recreate Games. Who are they? Did they have a website?
They did not make Gang Beasts. Gang Beasts is Bone Loaf and Coat Sink for the developers.
Well, that's shocking. This looks like a knockoff of Gang Beasts.
That's what I always thought. And of course, with my I just have that I guess defensive, oh, you're just copying another game and so I have to support the first game because they did it first, even though it clearly looks like Party Animals is doing it better. I don't know. It could be different too, because a lot of Gang Beasts relies on like grabbing each other and like punching them in the head and throwing them into like trash compactors and stuff like that, like trying to keep your competition knocked out for as long as possible.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really have weapons, whereas Party Animals does. And so I feel like the sort of gameplay loop, the core mechanics of the game is going to be different, even if it's still that sort of ragdoll-esque sort of physics-based arena combat game. And it's just got a better art style as well.
Yeah. I wonder if this is going to spin off, like if Gang Beasts is going to spin off more titles like this. So then, like, kind of like how Soulsborne games have started becoming a thing. We're going to have Gang Beasts-like games, maybe.
Right. They're creating their own genre.
Like, I'd almost say Fall Guys is like that, but not really.
I mean, you have the little like dopey characters, but yeah, you're not like fighting in Fall Guys. It's all it's kind of like those Japanese game shows, right? Or like that show, that not very PC show, Most Extreme Challenge, where it was like the Japanese game shows, and it was dubbed over by English voice actors and comedians.
I actually don't remember that, but I know what you mean. Like you're running through like an obstacle course.
If you saw it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But, it's similar, but it's not exactly the same.
The Last of Us Part 1 coming to PC on March 3rd, 2023. I thought this was a very odd trailer because it was very much this cool action adventure game coming to PC. Just playing like this really like kind of like loud music and stuff, and the text was
the first game.
Yeah, the text was like popping on the screen and stuff.
They're doing the thing like Skyrim was a super popular Bethesda release. It made them tons of money, and they were like, we got to get this everywhere. Yeah. We got to release this on every platform. Blah, blah, blah. It's like they've realized that The Last of Us 1 was like a really breakout popular game, super hit. The Last of Us 2 came out, still did really well, but people didn't like it as much as Last of Us 1. It's kind of the general consensus, I think. And so now they're just like, all right, Last of Us 1 on everything. Let's remake the remake of a PS3 game. And it'll be on PS6 as well. So
hell yeah. I want Last of Us Part 2 on PS5 though. That's what I want. Give me that PS5 update. I'll even pay $10 for it.
I think the thing about the Last of Us games is that I'm totally fine with just having played them a couple times, and I don't need to replay them over and over again.
Oh, yeah. You probably shouldn't. But I will buy it regardless.
Right? Would you buy and go through it?
No.
Oh, okay.
You're just doing the Ryan Johnson thing where you want to look at it and be like, dang, that looks nice on PS5. Anyway.
Yeah, look at Joel's face. And then I'll turn it off. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm very excited for this game. Obviously, as a big Star Wars fan. And Jedi Fallen Order, the previous game, was really good. So I'm excited for this one. Mm-hmm. They had an actual back-to-tank on stage.
Oh, they did. That's right.
Real life working back-to-tank.
That's right. That person inside was minus an arm.
Yeah.
And they were being kept alive by the
via the back-to-tank. Yep.
That's right.
Coming to a hospital near you.
I really hope not.
You don't want a back-to-tank?
No.
What?
I feel like modern medical technology is probably better
than a back-to-tank?
I think so.
It healed Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
Because of the back-to-tank.
He would have healed otherwise, I suppose,
yeah,
right?
That's what I'm saying.
It's just a few scratches from a Wampa. That's fine.
He got whomped.
Womped. Some of the new things in this is animal interactions. Looks like you could ride them, and he was using like a pterodactyl looking thing to fly around. Different lightsaber modes look like. And one of the cool things that got pointed out, this is from Star Wars Explained on YouTube, is that they seem like they're having a little more fun with the character customizations.
Mm.
And he felt that kind of Lucasfilm before might have been a little more strict, but now it's like Cal Kestis can just dress up as Han Solo. You know, you can play the whole game as Han Solo, and it's just like, okay, this is kind of fun now. You know,
well, dressed as Han Solo.
Yes, dressed as Han Solo. Yeah.
Make it a little more arcadey kind of thing, even though it's like a narrative game.
Because I think Star Wars, when Disney bought them, they got a little too obsessed with keeping the canon and making everything fit into place. And it's like, you can have it a little looser,
Just give me a goofy Star Wars game. Yeah.
Like, I heard they won't ever allow like a pink Darth Vader or something like crazy like that to be available.
Something that damages the brand.
Yeah. But I think at a certain point, though, you just want to kind of, I want to run around as Cal Kestis dressed as Han Solo or Obi-Wan or something,
Yeah, give him a big robe, give him Obi-Wan's lightsaber, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Why not? Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've only heard good things about Jedi Fallen Order, and I do actually.
I'm not the biggest. The most.
That's right. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but I do find a lot of those games enjoyable. Like, some of my favorite games growing up were Star Wars games, like Battlefront 2.
Hell yeah!
So, they're just solid games, right? So, and I think that's kind of the key, right? That if you have a really popular IP, but you're still able to make a really good, like, accessible game that's just stands on its own and isn't relying like heavily on like nostalgia factor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then I'm all for it.
It's a little sad and kind of funny that it took EA like the end of their 10-year deal with Disney to finally make a good Star Wars game.
Yeah, they're like, damn.
Yeah, and Squadrons is pretty good too. It sounds like their exclusivity deal will end if it hasn't already. I've lost track of the time, but they're going to continue to make Star Wars games past that deal, but it'll be, I guess, more on a project to project basis, right?
Yeah, more like an individual contract.
Yeah. Death Stranding 2.
Oh, baby. It's really funny. Like, I feel like I keep playing these games that I haven't played in a long time. Like, I started playing God of War, and then Ragnarok was announced.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started playing, and like, years after it came out, right? Obviously, for the first time. Started playing Death Stranding for the first time. Years after it came out, Death Stranding 2 was announced. This is like the fourth or fifth time this has happened where I've like gone back to play a game. And I'm like, damn, I really dig this. This is cool. And then like, oh, by the way, here's the new trailer like that week. I'm like, well, that's very convenient for me. Like, it's just a funny coincidence. But yeah, I was late showing up to this recording because I was literally doing what I believe is the beginning of the end of Death Stranding.
Oh,
so I'm almost done the story, and I'm very interested to see. I'm honestly, after we're done, I might stay up late to finish it.
You were busy holding R2 and L2. That's right.
Oh. Hell no, man. I got that all-terrain skeleton, man. I don't need to do that anymore. I just make my power skeleton do it for me.
I know, by the end of that game, you're just... By the end of the game, you're just like whipping across the map. It doesn't even matter anymore.
I'm carrying like 80 kilograms of stuff on my back, and I'm just like full bore sprinting down really rocky terrain. And Sam's going like,
I'm Sam.
I'm Sam.
Oh, don't bring that up. Don't you dare bring that up.
But
anyway, what do you guys think about this trailer?
It's funny because like when the first one came out, nobody had any fucking idea what Death Stranding was going to be about. Which is like, the Kojima special is very cryptic on purpose, obviously. Yeah. But the thing about this one is that while still cryptic and probably weird if you don't have any context, people have the context of the first game now. So you watch the trailer and you're like, oh yeah, that seems about like right for the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And you just accept it. Where no one's looking at, well, I shouldn't say no one, but people who are familiar with Death Stranding are not looking at that trailer going, what the fuck is this? What's going on? Like, they're like, oh yeah, that's that.
Yep, that's Death Stranding.
Yeah, there's the BB shelter. There's this very like overwhelming sense of like an aquatic life theme with things. There's a recognizable character. There's a recognizable character. So
it raises a lot of questions. There's details in it that raise a lot of questions for people that have played the other game. And like one of them, I can think of two off the top. One of them is a major spoiler, so I won't say that. But the other one, we were all talking about, which is also a spoiler, but we've all experienced that portion of the game.
I don't know if it's a big spoiler either, though.
It's not a big spoiler.
It is revealed right at the beginning, right?
I was going to say, Fragile shows it off right at the beginning of the game. The first time you meet her.
Yeah, so it's like she's in this trailer with a sleeveless shirt, and she's not affected by the time fall, which is sort of like, what the hell is going on here? And then there's another thing that
back to tank is the clear answer.
It's the fucking back to tank. But no, she like and then there's another thing that I think requires the end of the game, so I won't say it, but. I liked it.
For those
I like
who
it a
are
lot.
not aware, the timefall is just rain in Death Stranding, but if you get caught in the rain, anything that the rain touches like ages rapidly. So whether that's plants or people or what it is or whatever it is. So this character Fragile in her story was like caught in the rain, drenched from head to toe. And so her skin is like very aged. And you see that right at the beginning of the game.
Butterhead, from neck to toe.
From neck to toe. Distinction to be made. But yeah, like so then you see her in this trailer and she's not her skin looks like the skin of a young woman. So it's like, what's the deal with that?
Yeah. And then Norman Reedus shows up with gray hair. So he turned on the wrong faucet when he was taking a shower.
Yeah. he did actually get caught in the timefall.
Isn't there something at the beginning of that game or something that, or like it's an email or something you can read where he
read emails and games for Christ's sake.
Yeah, that's what I said too. But I remember I looked up some lore videos and it's like, I'm pretty sure it's just an email or something. And it's like, he is actually rapidly aging as well or something. I don't know if that's true. There's a lot of lore in that fucking game.
He's got the solid snake disease.
It's like he had like a genetic problem or something. I can't remember. It was in like a really obscure lore video I think I watched. So God knows if it was a theory or not.
I just realizing this is interesting. So this is from the official PlayStation YouTube channel. It says Death Stranding 2 and then in quote or in brackets, working title.
I did find it odd that they didn't show off like a logo or like a title card for the game. They just showed DS2. So, and I did notice that Dark Souls 2 was trending on Twitter today because that's the game that's known as DS2.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was funny that they're calling it DS2. Probably just to say, I mean, they could have said, I guess, like Death Stranding sequel.
Yeah.
But it's funny because in an interview, I think, and I might be misremembering, so this is anecdotal, but I think in an interview from a while ago when after Death Stranding had just come out and people were saying, like, what do you think you would want to do a sequel for Death Stranding? And Kojima said, if I do a sequel for Death Stranding, I want to do it completely over from the ground up and like redo it. So, maybe when I saw that, I interpreted that as being like, he doesn't want to do Death Stranding 2. He wants to do another game in the Death Stranding universe, but not necessarily like Death Stranding 2. That would be a story involving Sam or involving Fragile and involving Hartman or Deadman or, any of these people. But
did you hear what he said afterwards? Like when he came out on stage and Jeff Keighley was asking him like a couple questions? He said that he kind of predicted the pandemic with this game where we'd be all disconnected. And so he said he actually rewrote
the entire story,
the entire second game.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what he was talking about, where he's talking about from the ground up,
This was pre-pandemic.
Oh, really?
That he said that, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Matt, you played this game over the pandemic, didn't you?
I don't know. Actually, I know I played it semi-recently, so probably.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it came out in 2019, so the odds are good that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know how old it was actually, but I know I bought it for like a ridiculously cheap price, which is why I was a little unsure as to when it came out when I bought it. But no, it's first Kojima game I ever played, and it was fucking weird. just to be as blunt as hell.
But it's such a good kind of weird. I'm not a guy who likes a lot of out there things. Like you can get too crazy with me. But there's something about Kojima's brand of weird that is so like intoxicating. And I don't know what that is.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think I've said something very similarly to Kayla like within the last couple of days. Like I don't typically like weird, like high concept games.
Yeah.
But there's just something about Kojima's stuff that is very strangely really interesting and engaging to me.
Yeah.
This is a game, like the first one was a game where I consistently paused and just like, what? And I'd like go back and like relook up that cinematic watch it again on YouTube. It's like, what the fuck? Or like, what was she saying? Go Google it a bit. And thankfully, I only had one thing spoiled by doing that. I was super afraid of doing it, but there was just some things where it got to a point where I was like, what are these things doing? Like, I got to go back. Like, what the hell are they talking about?
Who's talking right now?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
All right. There's a lot of games here. We got to get Motor in here. Baldur's Gate 3. Now, this was already out in a form, right?
Early access, yeah.
But was the game complete, or could you just play up until a point?
It's just the prologue.
Just the prologue, okay.
Yeah.
So I actually put this on my list of games I'm interested in. I have not played the other Baldur's Gates. So, but it just kind of looks cool.
It's made by Larian, which is the Divinity Original Sin devs, which is not the same studio that made Baldur's Gate 1 or 2. But it's your top-down, turn-based action RPG, similar to like operating in the mechanics of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, taking place in the Forgotten Realms, which is like the official air quotes world of D&D, featuring like official characters and stuff from old lore, which is I think one of the characters they showed off in this trailer. At the very end, the guy that was like busting his way physically out of a mimic's stomach or something.
Yeah,
he's like an official character. I can't remember his name though, off the top of my head. It was because I think people have largely what Larian has showed off, because I've been kind of following and involved in the Baldur's Gate 3 sort of timeline ever since it went up for early access. Like I bought it right away and I put a lot of hours into it. They've added a lot of mechanics and like new features and content and stuff like that. They've added new classes to play, new races to play. So it's all very like they're listening to like fan feedback and things like that. So it's been like a very collaborative effort in terms of like what Larian is doing, listening to like fan feedback and really letting people shape the game. It's been very cool to watch. But like this show kind of showed off worlds, like parts of the world that people haven't seen yet. Which, even though Larian has really been showing off a lot of like game content every time a new update for the game comes out and stuff, and listening to fans, it's really only ever been for like the prologue area of the game in terms of content. So this, I think, was the first time they really showed off a major amount of non-prologue content and characters and things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm interested, and I appreciate any developer that makes games for macOS. So I will be supporting them and then trying them out on my new laptop I get sometime next year.
Your Mac deck.
My Mac deck, yeah.
One day. I think that's just called like an iPad, but
yeah.
Kind of, yeah, basically.
Which I have been gaming on actually quite a bit. Diablo 4.
Speaking of gaming on mobile.
Well, kind of.
Play that Diablo Immortal all the time,
right? No, I stopped. Holy crap. And you all abandoned me.
I did, yep.
I was the lowest level.
Man. It became too much.
It became too much.
To keep up with the season and not pay out the ass to keep up with that game, you had to play that game every day for like at least 3 hours. I can't do that.
Oh, fuck that.
Anyway, I think they just showed off like a CG trailer. We already kind of seen gameplay, I guess. I guess the big announcement was Halsey. I'm not sure if she is voicing Lilith or if she's just providing music for the game or something.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird mashup, but
I'm not sure what the collaboration is there.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is
that she did the music for the Game Awards.
I don't know if this is like a weird concern with this game, but everything I see about Diablo 4 is overshadowed by this dreadful thought that the monetization scheme of this game is going to be so strict and so serious and demanding, like it is in Immortal and in Overwatch 2 to an extent, that I like have a hell of a time getting excited for it. I don't know if that's like foolish or something, but it makes me not excited at all.
Whoa.
Makes you not excited.
Cautiously optimistic, I think, is how I look at Diablo 4.
I mean, I'm someone who enjoyed 3. Now, I had played 3 before any of the other ones, and I know a lot of people didn't have their issues with 3. But if it's even just like 3, or even if it's like Immortal, I'll be happy. I just want to run around bashing things or shooting magic at stuff, you know?
The bar is not high for Diablo.
Yeah. This is kind of fun. Remnant 2. I think we all played Remnant, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
So Remnant 2, this was kind of shocking.
I'm very pleasantly surprised at Remnant 2.
And it looked good.
Yeah, it's funny because I was watching the gameplay and I was like, there's gunplay and there's like dodge rolling. This looks a lot like Remnant. What the hell?
Yeah.
But like the character designs and like the enemies they were fighting and stuff didn't look anything like it. Like it looked a lot darker, a lot grittier. Mm-hmm. And I was like, maybe they're just like, they're playing off that formula. And then the title card comes down and it's like Remnant 2. And I'm like, okay, damn, that's really interesting. I'm very keen.
I'm guessing that means the first one did pretty well.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah. The three of us didn't play it. You played it on stream, right, Tim? And then I think
I played it on stream. I also played it because some guys that I used to work with, we are usually always on the lookout for like 3-player multiplayer games specifically, and that was one of them that we came across like a year and a half ago, maybe, because the one guy moved away, so we were looking for games we could play online together, and that was one of them that we came across. So we played it and we all really enjoyed it. So it's a very cool game, and I'm keen to see more work from that dev because I also really like the world they built too.
Well, I was going to say, but the second trailer, they're really showing off new locations and new creatures and characters, and there's a lot of new stuff going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Some nasty thing with a big old mouth. What the heck is that? That's gross.
I've been
just running at this camera.
I actually played Remnant twice. I beat it twice, and I bought the DLC on Black Friday, so I might do that at some point as well.
Did you die the same way second time through?
No, I should really actually publish that. I don't think Tim's ever seen that.
That'd be a good one. Put that on the shorts.
There's I don't know if you remember this, Tim, but there's like this area, and I can't even really be spoilery because I don't even know what the hell it's called, but it's like there's floating platforms everywhere and stuff. It's like a really big concrete.
You did show me this. Yep.
Okay, yeah. And going through the portals, like Adriano goes through the portal safely, and then I go up and I click the button to go through the portal. My guy goes, yeah. And I'm just dead on the portal.
I love that the mic completely cut out on you.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It was like, oh, this guy's getting too loud, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was so funny though. I was laughing my ass off. That was a good one. All right, let's get into the biggest game announcement of the night. Are you guys ready?
Hey, lay it on me.
Crime Boss, Rocky City.
I don't care. Next one.
You don't care.
I found that like the I get what they were going for, and like the Game Awards, should appeal to all variety, all manner of walks of life and gamers and things, including old men, because Lord knows old white men have never been pandered to. But the fact that it's just like these guys come out and they're dressed like bodyguards, and they're like, the boss wants to come out, he wants to make some sort of announcement or something. And it's just like, I know you're trying to you're trying to bring the universe of the world to like real life as part of this announcement and stuff, but it's so goddamn dated. Like nobody cares about this. Just like show the game. Okay, let's move on. Like, I don't know. I thought it was really cringy, but
I feel like they just asked all these guys, do you want to look like your 90s selves again? Particularly Michael Madsen.
Maybe. You never know. There's a market for it. I don't think that market was the vast majority of the people watching the Game Awards.
It almost feels like a joke because every new cast member they announce got funnier and funnier.
Yeah.
So and that's like, right. Oh my God,
we got Chuck Norris too. Like to end on Chuck Norris. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was bizarre about it is that it's coming out soon, and until today, which is a day after the Game Awards, until today, they didn't have gameplay. So like they showed off this trailer of this star-studded cast, if you can call it that, and then it's just like Crime Boss, available soon. It's like, wait, hang on. Available in a few months. What is this? Who made this? Like, what game is this?
That's Crime Boss.
Crime Boss is just like, could be anything at that. I mean, it's a Payday 2 like shooter, it seems like. But
let's go through the cast here. So we got Michael Madsen, obviously. I guess he's kind of the main-ish character.
Sure.
Well, he was the one on stage. He walked up first. Kim Basinger, who I know the name. I don't know who exactly she is.
I'm not American enough to know celebrities off the top of my head.
Hang on, let me take a look here. Okay. You'd probably know her if you saw her, I think.
Isn't she from Batman? She's from Batman, the 80s Batman? Late 80s Batman?
Late 80s yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I Googled it and I'm telling you.
Yeah, she's from Batman 1989.
Hey, wait a second. So you're pretending to know it, like just off the top of your head? Oh yeah, just like the 80s Batman. Yeah. Isn't that that's ringing a bell?
At least he admitted it.
Yeah, I just told you, I told you right away. Also from LA Confidential, 9.5 Weeks, and 8 Mile are the movies that are listed in the little thing on Google, little card.
And Wayne's World 2.
She's the main character in 8 Mile, right?
The main character in 8 Mile.
I don't think that's right. I've never seen that movie, but I'm pretty damn sure that's not right.
She's also in a movie called 4 Minute Mile. So
she's all about those mile movies.
Mm-hmm. Got a real niche there, eh?
The next entry in a long series of mile type movies.
So
and Strand type games.
I would not have guessed she would ever be in a video game, but here we go. We also got Damien Poitier. Danny Trejo, who seems to be everywhere. Showed up in the Book of Boba Fett.
And in Far Cry 6.
We got a Panzo bet waiting on Danny Trejo's name. This is the dumbest Panzo bet I think we've ever made.
Yeah, it's if I win, if his name is influenced by or is anything close to a sharp object, a knife, or a machete.
I can't remember the name that would work. Macholo. Macholo is an accepted.
Yeah, that was. I think Marty gave us. We were like, we need an example of what do you mean? And Marty said Macholo, and I was like, yeah, that's machete. So that's
his Star Wars character's name is Macholo, but he is simply known as he's simply known as Rancor Keeper to this date. So
damn.
Who else we got here? Let me take a look.
Danny Glover?
Danny Glover as Gloves.
Yeah.
Which is kind of awesome, actually.
That's a really good one, yeah.
Yeah. Michael Rooker as Touchdown.
As Rooks. Oh.
Man, I thought
he should have been Rooks.
I thought it was Cyberpunk when he showed up.
It did kind of, for a second there, you probably could think that, right?
Well, it's like the first person perspective, and people are getting up in your face, and they look kind of like
gangstery,
and they're not quite like in a contemporary style. They're kind of like in a stylized outfit. Yeah. So it's like, it's very cyberpunk. Yeah.
Matt's favorite, Vanilla Ice.
I was laughing pretty fucking good at that. Actually, gonna do some renovations for us.
And then it ended with Chuck Norris doing a roundhouse kick.
Doing a roundhouse kick on the camera, yep.
Man,
that's all he could ever do, I guess.
I'm going to buy and play the shit out of this game, aren't I?
I hope not.
Wait. Here we go, Matt. Launching March 28th, 2023. Available to pre-purchase on Epic Game Store. Save 40%.
Holy fuck.
From December 8th to the 10th.
I'm going to look up how much it is.
You got tonight and tomorrow. To save 40% on purchasing this.
I'm going to look up how much this is.
That does not bode well for the game.
No. I was going to say, that does not sound well.
Buy it right now and get it almost half price? Are you kidding me?
So that's
a terrible sign.
40% off. This is the Canadian version of the Epic Game Store. Normally $54.99, which is cheap in Canadian dollars.
Normally $80.
Now it's down to $32.99.
Oh, that's going to be a bad game.
Matt, are we doing this? I think we might be doing this, man.
We might be fucking playing this game.
Is it multiplayer, though?
I think it's like a co-op game like Payday, I'm pretty sure.
It better. Co-op multiplayer, yeah.
Oh, imagine it turns out that it's just like a single-player narrative game that's only like 4 hours long.
Matt, I'd be willing to do that for $32. 33.
That's still a lot of money for a maybe game.
I'm gonna be laughing though. At least
doing
like,
it
it's
for
gonna
the
be
laughs.
pretty funny.
It's
yeah,
not. It's
for the memes.
Danny Trejo is the dragon. Man.
All right, let me close my Kim Basinger tab here. Where am I? I've lost my place.
He's just getting hot under the collar.
We were at Vanilla Ice here.
Oh, we're right at the end here. They saved that for the end. They saved it right before the Cyberpunk trailer. So Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, which includes Idris Elba.
Damn right.
Looked awesome, eh?
Yeah, he looks like a really good character for Cyberpunk, honestly.
My question is, do you play as him then?
I'm going to guess probably not, but that's an interesting point. I hadn't considered that. Maybe you do.
Based on how the game ends.
Man, what a fucking recovery.
It would be easier, I think, to play as him, right?
Well, I wonder if it's just going to be the thing where like the game ends, so you have to do the DLC before the end of the game kind of thing. I wonder if it's one of those.
So like where it puts you back, I guess?
No, that you have to do the DLC before you finish the story.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
Like it's not going to be post-game.
Yeah. And looks like Keanu Reeves is back, reprising his role.
Yeah, that's another thing that makes me think it takes place during the game before the end of it. Because like, I mean, not really any spoilers or anything, but like there's a lot of ways that game can end. So
make it work.
Not all of them, necessarily involve Keanu Reeves. So for him to be there, I think just like canonically with the way that it can end with your main character and Keanu Reeves and how different character stories can go.
Yeah.
Who they've shown seems to imply that it's not end game content.
And this takes place in a new district in Night City. So a whole new map, I guess, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm keen. It showed a lot of like driving segments. So I'm wondering if they're adding like a big area because they showed a lot of like vehicles kind of driving through non-developed environments. Like some cities, some would kind of look to be like almost like abandoned areas of a city or almost like overgrown cities kind of thing. And so I guess we'll see.
So this is coming out 2023, and I think this was kind of already known because I think they did kind of drop support for last gen consoles, but this DLC only has the next gen consoles listed. And PC.
Detail.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that this game recovered enough to attract another actor.
Well, we were talking about that, Matt, how crazy, what a turnaround it's been for this game. And it's kind of just like they put their heads down and kept working at it. And I guess it was that Netflix show that kind of got everyone back on board, right?
Revitalized it, yeah. Really built the hype up. That was a good call on their part.
Mm-hmm.
In recent times, like the best game recoveries have been, in my memory, well, No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk, but both games, Witcher 3 had problems.
Yeah, it had a really horrible launch. It was not that the game sold badly, but the game had performance issues like crazy.
Oh, I actually didn't remember that.
Yeah, everyone seems to forget that Witcher 3 had a really bad launch in a lot of areas. They weren't fulfilling pre-order bonuses. Like it was a nightmare. It was really bad.
You only remember the nudie scenes.
I haven't even played the game. But what I was going to say is like the studios that just seem to like put their head down and get to work to fix it, like No Man's Sky and in this case Cyberpunk, those seem to be the games that recovered the best. Whereas something like 76, recovered-ish.
Final Fantasy 14 too, the MMO that had a massive recovery too.
I actually when it first came out, it was doing bad.
When it first came out years ago, it was like panned and everyone hated it. Then they did like I don't know the exact details, but I think A Realm Reborn kind of restored it, and then it was like the biggest game of the pandemic, which was crazy.
That and Animal Crossing, of course.
yeah. Armored Core, Fires of Rubicon. How do you feel about this, believe it, Tim?
I've never played Armored Core. I saw a lot of people speculating that Armored Core was going to be the game that FromSoft was teasing as like the next thing they're working on. So it's really cool. I'm not going to go back and play the first 5.
No, there's 6 of them now. What the heck?
Yeah. So that's cool.
Do you want it to be like a Soulsborne, or are you fine with it?
I've never. No, like it's gonna be what Armored Core has always been, like the mecha game and stuff.
Yeah.
And my brother was always really big into the mecha games when we were kids. Like he used to play a lot of like Mech Assault and stuff. So I have like kind of a soft spot for those mech games. I think they're very cool. But I've never like properly really played one myself. I would be down to play Armored Core. Just knowing that among the mecha games, I think it is a pretty well received one, even if it's not super mainstream.
Right.
But off the back of like Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, Sekiro, Elden Ring, people are now FromSoft fans, and I think that it's going to do a lot better than it would have if Armored Core 6 had come out before even say like Elden Ring.
Right. I mean, they could make this another big franchise for them, you know?
I mean, I don't think you have 6 entries in a series without your franchise being kind of big already. But I know what you mean. Bigger.
Yeah.
In the main rotation.
If you watched Vadi Vidya did a video on this, kind of talking about Armored Core, and I don't think he's played a lot of the older ones either. But he pointed out, if you look at the description on Steam, it says, by combining From Software's long-standing expertise in mech games and their signature robust gameplay. And there was another part, maybe it was in a press release or something. He quoted something where they said it was matching, or it had styles from their recent action games. The only recent games they've had have been Soulsborne type games. And so is there going to be an element of that in this? Obviously, the old Armored Core is you're flying around in a mech shooting missiles and guns and whatever else. But I wonder if there could be areas where it's kind of more similar.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're going to try to go outside the mold that they've made for Armored Core already, and then suddenly have like maybe some mechanics that are like, oh yeah, that's from Sekiro, or that's from Elden Ring. And then they just sort of adapt it for the mecha genre. Yeah, no, it's exciting. I really enjoy FromSoft as a developer, and I would love to try more game experiences.
Something different from them, right?
That they've made, but is different from the typical experience. Yeah.
And then finally, Final Fantasy 16.
Ooh, also looks good.
That's pretty much all I have to say. It looks good. I'll probably play it.
Yeah, I was never a big Final Fantasy fan until I played 7 Remake.
Yeah, Tifa changed your mind, didn't she?
All the, I mean, she's not a new character.
No, but this Tifa was new.
Which I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Final Fantasy gatekeepers out there being like, oh, of course you like the remake. Actually, it's the remake of the worst game. Actually, 8's the best, and you need to kill yourself and die because you haven't played Final Fantasy X. But
I tried playing Final Fantasy X. It's rough.
But it's really, because like I'm not typically I don't typically go for the sci-fi stuff, and like I don't know what it was about the remake of 7 that I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it a try because it seems really good, and I really, really liked it, and it's definitely, it's not the first time that I've like seen Final Fantasy content. Like I watched friends play like 13 and stuff like that back in the day, and even some of the older games too. But I vibed with the sort of the gameplay, the main core mechanics and gameplay loop and stuff in Final Fantasy VII a lot more than I thought I would. And the main thing that was keeping me away from Final Fantasy as like the total IP was that I'm not super big into like the sci-fi stuff. And so I was like, if they make another like really big high fantasy Final Fantasy, then I'm probably into it, because a lot of the first games were that setting with like the high fantasy and stuff. So
yeah.
And just the way that the actual like the world's being introduced, I like the designs of the characters. The story seems compelling enough from what they've shown off. Like I'm a new fledgling Final Fantasy fan for sure.
Yeah. Matt, thoughts?
I tried Final Fantasy X and did not complete it, so I don't have much to add to the Final Fantasy stuff, unfortunately.
So you'll be buying it then, eh?
I don't think so. No.
Little bit of buying it.
I got too much stuff in the old backlog. I got
little bit, eh?
I got too much stuff in the backlog to have to
putting on the playlist.
Commit to whatever 100 hours or something.
You already showed me that you have that tattoo on the inside of your right thigh. That's the Final Fantasy 16 logo.
Saw it.
I wouldn't even know what that logo looks like.
I seen it.
Yeah, he's just playing coy.
All right. Well, that was this year's 2022 The Game Awards.
Not this again.
You're going to say Truck of the Year for some reason.
I do want to end with that kid.
Oh, God.
Popping up on stage. What was that about?
I've seen a lot of speculation on Twitter, and none of it's confirmed, so I won't go into any of that. But overall, yes, it was a very strange thing to happen. I think everyone is just more dumbfounded by the fact that somebody was literally just able to walk up on stage with the FromSoft devs and nobody questioned it. It was literally one of those situations where it's like, if you're confident enough, you can go anywhere and do anything.
Go anywhere,
and, yeah. And people will just assume, oh, he looks like he belongs here, so I guess he belongs here.
I do have one valid source. Jason Schreier, who was a video game reporter for Bloomberg, he tweeted that he had spoken to the kid after on Zoom or on some sort of video conferencing thing. He was arrested, I guess. That's what Jeff Keighley said.
Yeah.
I imagine they let him out. They probably didn't press charges. You know, he wasn't hurting anyone. He was just talking into a mic. And he was 15 years old. So anyway, Jason Schreier tweeted this morning that just spoke to the guy who interrupted the Game Awards. He says his name is Matan and that he's 15 years old. Some thought his speech was an anti-Semitic dog whistle, but he is almost certainly a Jewish prankster. He understood a question I asked him in Hebrew, then pretended he didn't. And then people were asking him questions, Jason Schreier questions, and someone said, why did he do it? And Jason Schreier said, sadly, the why is not very satisfying. He stayed in character the whole time I spoke to him.
Yeah, the interesting thing was that I saw about the speculation on Twitter was that there was a video of him on InfoWars a while ago, a number of years ago, because he was a lot younger in the video, and he was speaking with a pretty typical like American accent. So then he was up on stage and he was talking in a non-typical American accent. And so people were seeing this old clip and they were being like, that's not the same kid. Like, he doesn't look the same and he's speaking in a different accent. But like you say, if he's just like a serial prankster, then it's easy enough for anybody to just throw on an accent, you know? It was now it suddenly sounds totally different, you know? So, yeah, overall, just very weird. A very weird thing to do. I think there's more people were very concerned. Like, if this kid could just walk up, like, if he had malicious intent, he could have like shanked Miyazaki and that would be it. Like, yeah. So, absolutely sure that next Game Awards, the security is going to be out the goddamn ass.
Which I always get angry at. I understand you need it, but it's just like we're ending up in a world where like you can't do anything without being searched first. It just takes one bad person to screw everything over for the rest of us.
One bad egg spoils the kitchen.
Yeah, that's the right.
The whole kitchen, you got to throw the damn fridge out. You got to get the sink out.
Yep. That's the way she goes.
Toss out everything, including the kitchen sink.
Ooh, what is this? Twitter? HQ?
Damn it.
Elon Musk. What?
Damn it.
People on Twitter are angry that he's even covering this guy.
I mean, you can just say those first 3 words and that's it. Or 4. People on Twitter. 5. Damn it, I can't count. People on Twitter. I guess
I'm going to tell everyone on Twitter that you can't count.
do it. And they'll be like,
I'm going to tell everybody on Twitter that you can't count.
People are saying he's not newsworthy.
Well, it's funny because they were like, don't let, Bill Clinton kid overshadow Flute Guy.
Oh, yeah.
Flute Guy, also known as Pedro Eustache, I think is how it's pronounced, who is apparently an acclaimed flautist, incredibly accomplished musician, skilled at many wind instruments, that apparently has had a hand in many major composition, like many orchestral compositions. Like if you've seen any big piece of media that had orchestral music in it, he probably had a hand in it, which is like super cool. It was so cool to see how like he was so into it, He got the love though. He tweeted out that he heard everyone talking about him, and he's now known as Flute Guy. He's like Flute Guy here.
He definitely felt the love, so that was good.
Yeah, he's leaning into it. And that's great because he did a great job.
Man, he was celebrating with the drummer at the end. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh,
but he was,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. Game Awards done.
That was Game Awards 2022. What's your most anticipated title? Let us know in the comments below.
Hooray! There are no comments.
I see you there,
on
YouTube viewer. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking to you. Thanks for listening for an hour and 37 minutes. Look at you go.
All right, that's it. We do have in here the FTC is suing Microsoft to block its Activision Blizzard purchase. That's a pretty big story, but I don't want to cover it. So
we'll mention it.
You guys want to talk about it.
Elaborate.
Well, they're getting sued. We'll see how it turns out. It's pretty exciting.
We can talk about it next week as well if you think this episode's too loaded.
Sure,
there'll probably be updates next week, right?
Yeah, but I do find this fascinating, and I can't wait until it all starts and see how it ends up. Where all the pieces fall.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Huge, though. Pretty huge. All right.
Huge, even.
Tim?
Yes.
Where can people find you making fantastic content?
Nowhere. But if you want to see semi-competent content
all right.
on the internet,
sell yourself.
You can check out twitch.tv/thesidetrack, where I'm doing a lot of action games and RPGs typically. A little bit of multiplayer Fall Guys here and there with some friends. Sometimes other random things with other streamer friends of mine, but mostly single player RPGs a lot of the time. I'm currently working my way through the BioShock series, still working on BioShock 2, which I think I'm kind of getting close to the end of, and then we'll do Infinite afterwards. But that's twitch.tv/thesidetrack. And then sometimes we play Two Worlds 2 on what channel is that, Ryan?
Day One Patch Media. I messed it up. Twitch.tv/Day1Patch
There it is.
You know, I gotta say, I appreciate your honesty about your show, about your content, even though it is good.
Wait, so doesn't that make it not honest then?
Or I guess you're self-deprecating.
You're humbling.
Humble.
Maybe?
Your humble
Modesty?
response.
Your humble
Modesty,
bundle.
Yes.
Your humble bundle. Hashtag.
As I get older, I'm getting sick of the hyperbole and the exaggeration. And now every new thing that comes out is the greatest thing ever. It's like they ask an actor on a new TV show, "Oh, what was it like working with this cast?" "Oh, it was the greatest cast ever. It was so fun. It was great working with these people." And it's like, no, it wasn't. All right, just stop.
I wanted to say it sucked and I hated it.
Why is everyone a salesperson? And I'm just sick of being sold stuff.
Welcome to a capitalist society.
For 200?
Sure.
Thank you, Alex.
Oh.
But why can't things just be what they are?
I think people wouldn't do it if it didn't work, right? If you sell yourself, then people would go, "Oh, maybe I need to check that out," because people are sheep and they do what they're told.
But I think it's putting the 99 cents at the end of a price.
Mm-hmm.
It's that we all know it's not the greatest TV show of all time or the greatest movie of all time, but we just accept it.
I think the thing too is if we're going to talk about the nuance of things being good, people can say there's plenty of room in society for content of all types to be really good content, right? It's not like something there can only be one the best TV show kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like that. It's a little bit hyperbole short to say this is the best thing I've ever worked on. I guess that particular phrase could objectively be true. But like, people aren't going to say this is the best show of all time. That's sort of the thing that fans will say. But there's plenty of room for there to be 100 really good, fantastic TV shows, right?
Yeah.
That in someone's mind, yes, could be considered the best.
You know what I loved? J.J. Abrams, when he was doing the media rounds for The Rise of Skywalker. People talk to him about criticisms of Star Wars, and he said they're right. He said they're right.
They're all right.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, finally, he's not just saying, yeah, this is the best Star Wars movie ever. It's like, thank you for just saying, yeah, there's going to be problems.
Valid criticism.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, folks. Until next year at the 2023 Game Awards.
See you next year.
Signing off.
Ooh, a sign off. And that's not hyperbole.
Peace.